Hey guys, first regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about a heroic heavy bolter build for the heavy class in patch 11.2 of Space Marine 2. Now, the heroic heavy bolter is by far the best heavy bolter in the entire game right now. The heroic perk effect here is called reinforced gun casing. Perfect parry window increases by 50%, and after a gun strike, the weapon is completely cooled. Now, on top of this effect, this weapon also has the hidden modifier to change your parry window into a fencing parry window, which is incredible in this game. Having a fencing parry window on a heavy class is just godly. It's really something like the heavy was always missing because balanced parry windows suck ass. And on top of that, you also have 0 startup fire rate for your maximum fire rate whatsoever, which means that whenever you hit the button on this thing to fire this gun, you are at the maximum fire rate no matter what. So even better than it might sound initially, and this really is a top tier option as far as all the heavy bolters go. Now for the perk tree here, I would start off with the perk here, fast venting, weapons cool 50% faster. Moving here into the perk, perfect cooling. After a perfectly timed dodge, the equipped weapon is completely cool. Now, this perk is pretty good. I will say the venting speed being 2+ on this is actually the worst venting speed of any option for the heavy bolter period. And the reason for that is they want you to get back your cooling by just having perk effects like this to completely cool off a gun strike, because if you overheat this heavy bolter, it will take a very long time to cool down. So perks like this are actually pretty good for it. Next perk here is increased capacity. The maximum ammo reserve of this weapon by 20%. And then I move down here into the perk Headhunter for headshots dealing 10% more damage. And then I pick up the perk over here, Adamant Restoration. When your health drops below 30%, your ammo reserve is stored by 25% of the maximum capacity. Cannot exceed maximum ammo capacity. The cooldown is 30 seconds. This perk is very good. It is even better with the perk over here, Fortitude. If you decide to take this for health increase of 30%. This, on top of Conviction, will make you very tanky, so sitting at a low HP to trigger that perk over and over is really not hard at all. Though today I am taking Strategic Stand because I want to have no knockback in my heavy stance, which is why I'm skipping over the perk over here with Heavy Immunity. Because usually I would pick this up, and if you are taking the perk Fortitude, I would definitely make sure to pick this up, but today I'm skipping over it because I am taking Strategic Stand for that reason. Next perk here is Heavy Might, and Heavy Might for a 30% damage increase in our heavy stance. Then I move here into the perk Discipline. When you have low ammo, you will deal 25% more damage. This is a pretty substantial buff, and usually you will get your ammo drip fed back to you no matter what, thanks to perks here like Auxiliary Reload. This perk says that melee kills of Extremis level or higher enemies will restore primary weapon's ammo by 1 magazine, and on a weapon like the Heavy Bolter or Heavy Plasma that has no magazine, you will get a percentage restore instead, so even better than it might sound initially, so really good for that, and a really good synergy with Discipline, because usually you will be at pretty low ammo regardless. Next perk here is Fast Venting. Moving up here into the perk Increased Capacity for even better ammo reserves. Then move down here into Perpetual Cooling, and the final perk over here with Divine Might. Damage increases by 10%, and that's pretty much all there is for the Heavy Bolter build. Now, for the secondary option, I do take a Heroic Heavy Bolt Pistol. This has the highest gun strike damage in the entire game. The Heroic perk effect here is called No Help is Coming. Shooting enemy with the Elite Scream status stops you from calling for reinforcements, and headshots will kill in 1 shot. Now, unfortunately, in 11.2, this perk is still bugged. Body shots will not stop elites from calling for reinforcements, but headshots will still kill in 1 shot, so still a really good perk effect. Just not working properly at the moment. And for the perk tree here, you have a couple ways you'd set it up. First, you set it up this way, going all the way down the bottom tree into Death Strike. Then we move here into the perk Great Might and up into the perk Discipline once again. Then I grab here the perk Strong Finish into Headhunter, Gunstrike Reload, and Tactical Precision. Now, alternatively, with a heavy class, you could take it this way, where you go all the way down the bottom perk tree, and instead of going for Discipline here, you just keep going down the bottom for the perk here, Able Damage. This one says, after using a class ability, damage increases by 20% for 10 seconds. Iron Halo is used all the time, so triggering this over and over is actually very easy. And the next perk here is Home Precision, moving up here into Gunstrike Reload again, and then we pick up Tactical Precision. Both of them are pretty good. They have different uses, because, Discipline is a very powerful perk, so if you want to pick it up this way, you definitely can, but, that is up to you. Now, if you are fighting Chaos, I would probably take a Rate of Fire Plasma Pistol, because the Heavy Bolter really doesn't have any stagger at all, outside of, some headshot stagger, so having this, stop Soul Can Terminators and stuff like that can be pretty nice. And for the perk tree here, I would just set up this way. That's pretty much all there is for the secondary here. And now for our main perk tree here, I do take Restoration first. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores 1 armor segment. Cooldown is 15 seconds. Now, any type of armor restore that's drip fed to you in Space Marine 2 is really good, because it will simply prevent you from taking any melee damage whatsoever while armor is remaining. And this also includes bosses, so any amount of armor restore in Space Marine 2 is just a very powerful effect. Next perk here, Strategic Stand. While in heavy stance, dealing damage restores 15% more contested health, and you will not lose control from heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back, but you will not be able to move. Now, not being able to move really does not matter at all in this game, and also the 15% more contested health recovery with the maximum fire rate of our Heroic Heavy Bolter is really nice to have, and having no knockback on top of that gives us more perk options. Next perk here is Overwhelming Power. When Iron Halo is active, all of your team members within 10 meters deal 10% more range damage. This perk will trigger simultaneously with the perk over here, Brute Force, for a 25% range damage increase in total. Really nice to have, so I definitely do like grabbing this one, especially for a heavy bolter. Next perk here is Encompassing Aegis. All of your team members take 25% less damage from range attacks. This perk is incredible. It really makes you way tankier for like even classes like Tactical that have no damage reduction on their own, and by far the best team perk in this column. Next perk here is Consecutive Execution. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores charge by 1. Cooldown is 90 seconds. Now, a 90-second Melta Bomb will simply solve Extremis encounters all on its own. This is a top-tier perk in siege mode, operations, and hard stratagems. Pretty much always pick this up for like a top-tier horde clear option. The next perk here is Power Regulator. Iron Halo loses energy 20% more slowly. Moving here into the perk Brute Force. When your Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increases by 15%. This range damage buff is just a free buff as far as I am concerned, because Iron Halo is used all the time as any heavy build ever, so pretty much always grab this because Saving Grace is dog shit and the perk graph of the Imperium is super niche. And the final perk here is Offensive Capability. When active, Iron Halo will deal damage over time to all enemies within 5 meters. This perk overperforms all the times. It will wipe out Bramble, Cultists, Spore Mines, and stuff like that, on top of picking up free executes, like that free damage buff. So really nice to have, but I will say the perk here, Conversion Field, for a better ability charge for your entire team is also pretty damn good. You know, this is up to you. Now, for the Prestige perk list, I do take the perk Auxiliary Reload first, for the reasons I mentioned before about ammo economy, into the perk here, Conviction, for damage reduction, because Conviction is a godly perk on like every class it's on, so definitely pick this one up. And the final perks I grab are Indomitable Spirit for no knockback on gun strikes, because having no knockback on gun strikes will save your life, get you HP back. And the final perk is Duelist. Perfect parry and perfect block windows increased by 25%. Now, this is kind of a meme because this gives you a 75% increased parry window on your heavy bolter, which is pretty funny, but you know, you don't really have to take this. I just took this because having that like fat window is just super entertaining. But if you want to take Reverberating Impact or Exponential Force, you definitely could. Now, one last thing I want to mention here is that the heavy bolter, as far as I am aware, currently in 11.2, it will only function as a fencing parry window here if you have the heavy bolter actually equipped. If you unequip this and like pull out your secondary for whatever reason. Hey guys, first regardsman here, and I'll be talking about a heavy plasma incinerator build for the Hey guys, first regardsman here, and I'll be talking about a heavy plasma incinerator build for the heavy class in patch 11.0 Space Marine 2. Now, the Heavy Plasma is one of the best guns in this game, and it really has been since the game came out pretty much. There was a very early buff to this weapon that made it significantly more powerful, and since then, it's really only gotten better. Now, the variant I've chosen today is the Rate of Fire version, because the Rate of Fire got buffed up in like patch 9.0 to charge significantly faster, and now has the fastest charge rate by a significant margin over all the other options. I will say, though, the major downside of this version is that you will run out of ammo significantly faster than even the magazine capacity and the venting speed version here, but it's still the best option for DPS overall besides the Heroic Heavy Plasma, and it is just a ton of fun to use and plop out a bunch of one-shotting orbs. Now, the first perk I take here is Common Cooling. Common shots generate 10% less heat. Now, common shots on the Heavy Plasma are super underrated. These things will basically one-shot any Minoris in the game. They give you back a significant amount of CHP, which is very powerful, and you're unaware of what the CHP even means. That's contested health, and getting back contested health in a single shot from a Heavy Plasma common shot is really useful, so definitely a useful perk here. Next perk here is Rapid Cooling. After killing 7 enemies in rapid succession, this weapon does not heat for 10 seconds. Cooldown is 15 seconds. This one actually triggers more than you'd expect. It's actually pretty easy to pull this off versus a Minoris Swarm and just get like a bunch of charge shots off very quickly, especially with the Rate of Fire version here. So pretty decent perk. Moving here into the perk Heavy Velocity. While in heavy stance, shots charge 15% faster. This is really nice to have. I mean, the charge rate on this thing is already pretty damn good, but this perk on top of that, it makes it even faster. And then we move down here into like the most important perks, with Plasma Collection increasing your reserves by 20%, and the perk over here, Efficient Charge. Charge shots from this plasma weapon use 2 less energy. Without these two perks, you will run out of ammo on this weapon in like 2 seconds. I think these are like the two most mandatory options, especially this one, especially if you're using the rate of fire version, because it is just a horribly ammo inefficient weapon. It is a horrific amount of ammo usage in this game. Probably like the most ammo hungry gun in the entirety of Space Marine 2 besides the plasma pistol as your secondary, but that is the trade-off for this gun overall. Next perk here is Adamant Restoration. When your health drops below 30%, your ammo reserve is restored by 25% of the maximum capacity. You can exceed maximum ammo capacity. Cooldown is 30 seconds. Now, this perk has amazing synergy with our build because, first of all, we have the perk here, Fortitude. Health increases by 30%. This makes you tanky in base, almost baseline as tanky as a Bulwark is, because he has a starting HP increase of 30% just like you. But if we stack on the perk Conviction for a 20% health damage reduction when our armor breaks on the heavy class down here in our prestige perk tree, you are now baseline as tanky as a Bulwark with one of his core perks, which is pretty insane. And that means for a perk like Adamant Restoration, that means that being below 30% HP or around 30% HP in Space Marine 2, as your health gets lower, you get increasing amounts of damage resist in like 4 increments, and that on top of things like Fortitude and Conviction makes your effective HP insane. So Adamant Restoration, really easy to trigger over and over off the 30-second cooldown, is like one of the main ways you can actually keep your ammo up on this build. Next perk here is Heavy Fire, moving up here into the perk Supercharged Shot for 10% more damage on our charge shots. Then I grab the perk here, Heavy Immunity. While in heavy stance, you don't lose control from heavy hits. This perk is also pretty much mandatory. Without this perk, you will get knocked around where you would otherwise not be. This is like one of the most important perks on pretty much any heavy weapon in the game. You can find it over here as well with the heavy immunity in the Multi-Melta, heavy immunity on the heavy bolter. It's top tier on all of them. I pretty much always grab this. And the only reason I would not take this perk is if I'm taking the strategic stand perk for no knockback here, because it has the same effect. So just keep that in mind. Now, the final perks I grab here are Retaliation for 25% more damage after a perfect time dodge, and then we take the perk here, Charge Cooling. Charge shots generate 10% less heat, and that's pretty much everything there is to the heavy plasma setup here. Now, for my secondary here, I do take the Heroic Heavy Bolt Pistol. This thing is super underrated. A lot of people do not like this weapon right now. They hate the low magazine capacity, they hate the ammo reserves. Now, this weapon is better than most people think because the heroic perk effect here is called No Help Is Coming. Shooting an enemy with the Elite Scream status effect stops it from calling for reinforcements, and headshots will kill in one shot. Now, I've seen some people actually misread this and think that headshotting any enemy in the game will just one-shot them with this heroic perk effect, and they don't realize it's only the reinforcement calling ones. That is basically how it works, but the big benefit of this perk is that being able to instantly kill a reinforcement calling enemy means that you will be avoiding not only a potential enraged enemy, because on absolute difficulty, if you interrupt a reinforcement calling enemy, they'll pretty much always go enraged in this game. On top of that, you'll be killing the potential for a horde, which all saves you a ton of ammo, because one-shotting a guy that would otherwise go enraged, that saves you some ammo, and then one-shotting the guy that'd be calling a horde on top of that also saves you the ammo. So that's why the ammo reserves on this are so low. I do think it's a little excessive to have it be this low, like the ammo reserves to be up by 20 or 30 in my opinion. Just bring it up to 80 or so. I think that would be fine, because this thing is pretty inaccurate as far as bloom goes anyways. But as far as other options go for the heroic perk effect, this one's really not that bad. And the firepower of this does have the highest gun strike damage in the entire game too, and it also hits like a truck just as a gun, so I do like this thing quite a bit. I think it's my preferred secondary at the moment, besides things like the rate of fire plasma pistol. If you want to take this one, you can obviously take the plasma pistol rate of fire and just build it this way, or even the new bolt pistol. But as far as this setup goes, I do go down the bottom row for things like Death Strike, which is after killing a majority level higher enemy in melee combat, you do 25% more damage for 10 seconds. This will trigger off a finisher and not just a melee kill. And then we move down here into the perk Able Damage. After using a class ability, damage increases by 20% for 10 seconds. This perk is incredible to give you a tremendous damage boost. 20% for 10 seconds is very nice, and classes like Heavy, classes like Assault, and Vanguard, they will be using their Iron Halos, they'll be using their grapnels, they'll be using their jump packs all the time, but triggering this perk is very easy for us. And the final perks I grab here are all the way up into Tactical Precision and perks like Home Precision. That's pretty much all there is to it, because headshot damage is really all that matters on a weapon like this. So pretty good option, pretty fun to use, and honestly, one-shotting a reinforcement calling enemy in this game is hilariously satisfying on Tyranids because you just watch all like the little guys just plop around, and Chaos Spawn are also very obnoxious to stop reinforcement calls in general. That's pretty much all there is for the weapons here. Now, as far as the perk tree is concerned, we do take Restoration first. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores an armor segment. Cooldown is 15 seconds. Armor restore is amazing in Space Marine 2. Any amount of armor restoration in this game or armor remaining will let you survive any melee hit entirely. You will take 0 damage from a Hellbrute Hammer or a Carnifex attack, even if you have like a sliver of armor left. So really good perk effect here. 15-second cooldown for a drip feed of this is very nice. Also cycles back into your perk over here of Conviction very easily for that damage reduction. So this one is by far the best in the row. And also you should take this because multi-kill does fucking nothing for you in this build, and auxiliary ammunition is god awful. So definitely pick this one up. Next perk here is Fortitude for the reasons I previously mentioned. And moving here into the perk Overwhelming Power. When Iron Halo is active, all of your squad members within 10 meters deal 10% more range damage. This perk is really nice to have. A 10% range damage buff for something you do all the time is very nice. And dealing 10% more range damage for your entire team is a nice like little team bonus. I do hope that they add more squad effects like this in the game eventually, because having things that benefit your entire team, they feel pretty good in games like this. And so far, these perk effects are pretty rare outside of cases like this and cases like Glory's Shield on Bulwark or like a variant icon, but hopefully they do that more in the future. Next perk here is the team perk Additional Supplies. Ammo capacity for all of your squad members' primary weapons increases by 25%. I do think they should buff this perk up to affect not only the primary but also your secondary weapon, because if you look at perks like Skilled Supplier on the Tactical, this is a base ammo reserve increase of 15%. This affects both the primary and secondary, so not having this on a team perk is kind of crazy to me when you look at how powerful other team perks are. And obviously encompassing Aegis for a 25% damage reduction on range attacks for your entire team is better, but not running out of ammo is pretty nice. So I'm put this one up today, but hopefully they do buff this one day, and Bonds of Brotherhood is just not very good at all. Next perk here is Consecutive Execution. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores quick charge by 1. Cooldown is 90 seconds. This perk will give you a 90-second Melt-A-Bomb, 90-second Shock Grenade, Frag Grenade, Crack Grenade, whatever you want. The thing about equipment in Space Marine 2 is that equipment literally saves your game. Being able to instantaneously remove an extremis enemy is godlike in this game. Having the ability to just blow up a Zoanthrope in the sky over and over with crack grenades is just super useful, or sorcerers, or a Chaos Spawn army. Either way, Consecutive Execution, top tier on every single class it is on, and this one is no different. Next perk here is Power Regulator for Iron Halo, losing energy 20% more slowly. I believe that this one comes out to giving you as much benefit or recharge rate on your field, on your Iron Halo, I should say, as Field Adjustment does, without the durability loss, because of the way the slow cooling does, or excuse me, the slow energy loss goes. It does make it come back about like an equivalent speed, I believe. I haven't tested that personally, but that's what I've been told. Next perk here is Brute Force. When Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increases by 15%. I mean, just take this perk because Saving Grace is a Donkey Kong Bongo Cheeks, and this perk here, Wrath of the Imperium, could be really good. It just requires you to expend all of your energy on your Iron Halo, and that sucks. And a 15% range buff for doing literally nothing but just playing your class, basically, is just way better than these two, plain and simple. Final perk here is Offensive Capability. When active, Iron Halo deals damage over time to all enemies within 5 meters. This one will pick you up so many free executes. Will wipe out Spore Mines, Cultists in front of you, and Bramble. Really nice to have, and honestly a very underrated perk. This thing tends to overperform. And Coolant Reserve needs like an entire rework, and like the only place that this actually functions with the new Friendly Fire modifier, where you can shoot your teammates in the face and then just like trigger this perk on purpose, basically. Or you can play with bots and just kill the bots, but just don't pick this up, basically. And the final perk here you can take instead is Conversion Field. When Iron Halo is active, all of your squad members within 20 meters regenerate ability charge by 50% faster. This one is nice. You really notice this on classes like Tactical or Bulwark that have very long recharge rates on their weapons here, or not weapons, class abilities. But on a class like this, like by yourself, it doesn't matter that much. So I would pick up this one instead. Now, for the Prestige perk list, I do take Auxiliary Reload to maintain our ammo economy, Conviction for that damage reduction, Indomitable Spirit for no knockback on gun strikes, because getting no knockback on gun strikes in Space Marine 2, especially on a heavy class that has no knockback pretty much outside of heavy immunity, is godly. This will save your life. There are times as a heavy where you are fighting triple lictors or something like that, and you simply have to parry an enemy that will otherwise fuck you in the face. Yes, that's my official statement for that. These lictors, well, the triple lictor will fuck you in the face without this perk, and taking this perk will save your life. You'll be shooting back at them, you will get all of your CHP back, and it's simply a godly perk for this class because no knockback effects in Space Marine 2. They really are just that good. Final perk here is Duelist, Exponential Force, or Reverberating Impact. I think all of these kind of give you equivalent value depending on like how you're playing, but these three I think are by far the best. I would pretty much take these on any build, and Home Precision, this one just sucks, so just don't pick this one up. And that's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. It does kind of suck the heavy. His perk tree selection really doesn't have a ton of incredible options. Like, there are very obviously best ones, like Encompassing Aegis is godly, Fortitude is amazing, Strategic Stand even is quite good. Overheat or Thermal Boost here is not super bad. It's just not as good as these other options, which is why 90% of heavy builds wind up looking the same, but maybe they'll rework it at some point, but for now it's just the way it is, and hopefully this build guide helped. The heavy plasma, it's a godly gun, it's super fun to use, you will one-shot. Alright guys, it is time to talk about the heavy bolt rifle build for the heavy class in patch 11.0 Space Marine 2. Now, the heavy bolt rifle got a base damage buff in patch 11.0. Also, the 11.1 hotfix did make it so the scope variant has the proper buffs as well. Now, this one has the second highest headshot damage of any variant besides the firepower variant here. But the version I've chosen today is the ammo reserve and magazine capacity version because, unfortunately, the heavy class has horrific ammo economy on this thing, and having a fat magazine is good for two reasons. Number one, you get to shoot for longer, which just helps you out quite a bit for like horde clear and stuff like that. And also, our perk over here, Auxiliary Reload, melee kills of extremis lower higher enemies restore primary weapons ammo by one magazine, does get a better trigger off of this thing here. So pretty nice to have that 60 round magazine capacity to get 60 rounds back every single time. Now, for the perk tree here, I do pick up Headhunter first. Moving here into the perk Adamant Hunter, when your health is below 30%, headshots deal 25% more damage. This perk is really good on the heavy class because being around 30% HP or being below 30% HP really isn't too bad for him because he has the perk here Fortitude for a 30% HP increase, on top of Conviction over here for 25% less damage or less health damage for 10 seconds on armor break. So you're actually very, very tanky on this class, especially if you stack on Encompassing Aegis on top of all of this for a 25% range damage reduction. So being that low really doesn't hurt him like it does Tactical. This is like the only benefit this weapon has on this class versus Tactical, besides the perk here Able Reload that we'll get into later. Next perk here is Fast Reload, moving here into the perk Able Reload. After using a class ability, the equipped weapon instantaneously reloads. This does function with Iron Halo now, so really easy to instant reload the super fat magazine capacity, so really nice for that. Next perk here is Headhunter, moving up here into the perk Tactical Precision. Headshots deal 20% more damage, non-headshot damage decreases by 10%. Headshot damage is all that matters in this game compared to body shots, so pretty much always pick this up. Next perk here is Great Might, moving down to the perk Increased Capacity for even better ammo reserves. And the final perks I grab are Recoupment for armor at range and Rapid Health for when your health is below 30%. Killing 7 enemies ramps the session will restore your health by 10%. This is some of the only healing in the entire game for Tactical and Heavy, so really nice to have here, and like one of the only major benefits this weapon has are things like a Heavy Bolter, so I would definitely pick this up. And the final two perks are Perpetual Penetration and of course Divine Might for a flat 10% damage increase. And that's pretty much all there is for the Heavy Bolter. Now for the secondary here, I do take Retribution's request. This is the new Heroic Heavy Bolt Pistol. The Heroic perk effect, No Help is Coming. Shooting an enemy with the Elite Scream status stops it from calling for reinforcements, and a headshot will kill in one shot. Now unfortunately, the 11.1 hotfix broke this perk. You will not stop reinforcement calls on a body shot, only the headshots will kill in one shot, so it is only half working. Kind of funny that they broke this in a hotfix that was fixing up this weapon, because this thing actually had a broken hipfire for a while. The hipfire was like ridiculously inaccurate. Now they've actually fixed that up, but broke this in the process. So like maybe they'll do one more hotfix this year and fix this, but to be honest, I doubt it. We'll probably see this fixed in like patch 12 or something, but either way, this thing is still worth using because it has the highest gun strike damage in the entire game, and killing a reinforcement calling enemy in one shot is actually pretty damn good. Now for the perk tree here, I do take Divine Might and then move here into Perpetual Penetration, picking up Increased Capacity, Extended Magazine, and the best perk here, Death Strike. After killing a majority level or higher enemy in melee combat, you will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. This will also trigger off a finisher, so really easy to trigger even on like a heavy class. And the next perk here is Great Might, moving into the perk Strong Start, and then I pick up the perk Able Damage. After using a class ability, damage increases by 20% for 10 seconds. We do have Iron Halo, which we use all the time, so really good for us here. And the final perks are Home Precision, moving up the Gunstrike Reload, and of course Tactical Precision for headshot damage. That's pretty much all there is on this weapon, though I will say, if you are going into Chaos for whatever reason with the Heavy Bolt Rifle, I would take the Plasma Pistol instead in the Rate of Fire variant, because having Stagger is just way better, and also headshotting Chaos Spawn or like stopping their reinforcement calls is kind of a pain in the ass with this broken perk at the moment, so I would just grab this instead. You know, that is up to you. Now for the perk tree, I do take Restoration first. Killing 7 enemies, Rapid Succession restores an armor segment. The cooldown is 15 seconds. This one's kind of a no-brainer because these two perks don't do anything for you here, really. Auxiliary Ammunition sucks, so maybe one day it'll be good, but it's definitely not today. And Armor Restore on a drip feed in this game is just super strong. Next perk here is Fortitude for health increase of 30%. Moving here into the perk Overwhelming Power. When your Iron Halo is active, all of your team members within 10 meters deal 10% more range damage. This perk will also trigger simultaneously with the perk Brute Force. When Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increases by 15%. These will give you like a 25% buff while Iron Halo is active. A pretty cool synergy there and really nice to have. Though I will say if you want to take versatility for like a 20% buff, your secondary weapon, especially on a plasma pistol, you definitely could. Next perk here is Encompassing Aegis. All of your team members take 25% less damage from range attacks. This perk is incredible. 25% less damage from range attacks will save your life, especially for squishy team members like the Tactical, so really nice to have. And the next perk here is Consecutive Execution. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession will restore equipment charge. Cooldown is 90 seconds. This one will give you 90-second Melta-Bombs, crack grenades, shock grenades, and frags. Anything that breaks the pickup economy in a game like this is going to be top tier. This one is no different. Next perk I take is Field Adjustment. Iron Halo recharges 20% faster, but durability is reduced by 25%. Now, this perk is nice. Sometimes that loss in durability does suck, and Power Regulator is pretty damn close in your Iron Halo efficiency to this one, though this one does come back a bit faster. But if you're really going for like repeat triggers, I would take this instead, and that's pretty nice for things like your Heavy Bolt Rifles, Able Reload, and stuff like that, and also just other perk effects that you can have on your secondaries like Able Damage, why I took it here. Though I will say, if you want to take Power Regulator, you can definitely do that. Next perk here is Brute Force. When Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increases by 15%. This is just a free range damage buff. Pretty much always pick this up because the perk up here, Saving Grace, is god-awful, and Wrath of the Imperium does do a lot of damage, just like not super practical. Next perk here is Offensive Capability. When active, Iron Halo will deal damage over time to all enemies within 5 meters. This perk overperforms all the time. The amount of extra damage you get from this is quite substantial. It will also pick you up free executes and stuff like that. Though I will say Conversion Field is also very good if you're in a coordinated team, because a 50% ability charge regeneration rate within 20 meters, because a 50% increased ability charge rate within 20 meters of your teammates while your Iron Halo is active is actually quite powerful, especially for things like a Bulwark Banner that take forever to come back. Now, for the Prestige perks, I do take Auxiliary Reload first, because without this, you will run out of ammo occasionally. This is definitely something you would take in the Siege mode, though, to be honest, not a lot of people play Siege mode with a Heavy Bolt Rifle and a Heavy at all. They're always taking like Multi-Melta and Plasma, but if you want to take this, I would definitely pick this up. Next perk here is Conviction. When your armor is fully depleted, you take 25% less health damage for 10 seconds. This perk just makes you way tankier. I pretty much always pick this up. It's a top tier perk in the game. Damage reduction, especially on a class that has very minimal healing outside of things like rapid health, is super useful, and this one's no different. Next perk here is Indomitable Spirit. This one gives you no knockback on gun strikes. Having this perk will save your life at times. There are things that, like a Lictor, that will just knock you around all the time, and being able to gun strike them and not worry about those light attacks is really useful, so definitely pick this up. And the final one you can pick up is Reverberating Impact, Exponential Force, or Duelist. That is up to you. To be honest, all of these aren't that important. Just take these 3 over Home Precision, because this one is actually dog shit. That's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. The Heavy Bolt Rifle feels pretty good right now. I wouldn't say it's a top tier weapon, especially for this class, because I think this weapon does perform far better on the Tactical than Heavy, but Heavy, you know, he's just blessed with better options is the real problem. Is that Heavy Bolter, Plasma, Multi-Melta, even the Pyrecannon, all of these just do way more for your team. But Heavy Bolt Rifle, people love this gun. I like this gun. Pretty funny to go DACA, even if it's not like the Supreme DACA, but it's pretty good. And that's all I have to say in this one. Hopefully this build guide helped, and if you like content like this, subscribe for more. Hey guys, First Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about a Pyrecannon build for patch 11.0 of Space Marine 2. Now the Pyrecannon got a tiny buff this patch. You can now move at full speed while in heavy stance. That's not like super substantial, but this thing still performs pretty well, especially on the new map. And honestly, it's just pretty fun to use this with the new Salamander cosmetic pack on top of that. And the variant I've chosen today is the venting speed version because this one overheats very fast. I noticed that on the ammo reserve option, you would just overheat all the time, and having this extra time to just fire off your gun is actually pretty useful, so I do pick this one up. And for the perk tree here, I would just go down the top row for things like improved fast venting, moving here into the perk Eternal Flame. Burning time increases by 25%. 99% of your damage on this weapon will come from the burn, so pretty much always pick up a perk like this. Moving here into the perk Increased Capacity, then we pick up the perk Flame of Ascension. Burning 5 enemies restores one armor segment. Cooldown is 30 seconds. This perk is actually incredible. Getting armor back for just lighting an enemy on fire happens all the time. You'll pretty much be using this off cooldown in any horde, so a great option for sure. And the next perk here, Potent Flame, increasing your burning damage even further by another 15% is really nice to have. Then we move down here into the perk Divine Might for a 10% damage increase, and pick up the perk here, Heavy Immunity. While in heavy stance, you don't lose control from heavy hits. Having this perk is pretty much mandatory in my opinion. If you don't have this perk and you decide to go down like the top row or something, I would definitely just pick up the perk over here, Strategic Stand, because without this, you will simply get knocked over all the time. You will be stun locked and perish pretty much every single match, or, you know, maybe not every match, but you'll get knocked around a lot, stun locked a lot, and getting stun locked on a heavy class already sucks ass. So definitely pick this perk up. And the final perk I grab here is Flash Burn. Enemies at a distance of less than 10 meters take 20% more damage. This one doesn't do a ton for you. I would really prefer to take the perk up here, Pure Flame, for more burning damage, but giving up heavy immunity on this build is just not worth it to me, so I do just go down here instead. That's pretty much all there is for the Pyrecannon setup. Now for our secondary weapon, I do take the Retribution's Bequest Heavy Bolt Pistol Heroic version. This weapon is actually really damn good. I think this one got a significant improvement over the PTS. It now has the highest gun strike damage in the game. The Heroic perk effect got a little buff here. It will now instantly kill enemies that are trying to call reinforcements on a headshot, and that is pretty damn useful. Like, this is significantly better than it was in the PTS, and overall, this is actually one of my favorite secondaries in the game. I don't think it's like overpowered or anything. It's just really strong, like maybe like an A tier, so definitely pick this one up if you're curious about what heroic weapon you might like, and this one does go on like basically every class. And now for the perk tree setup on this, I do just go down the bottom row because of things like Able Damage, getting 20% damage buff for using your class ability. This happens all the time on the heavy class, because a heavy class does use the Iron Halo pretty much all the time, so great perk for sure. And then I move here into the perk Home Precision, up into the perk Tactical Precision for more headshot damage. That's pretty standard setup for like pretty much every heavy bolt pistol in the game. That's all there is for the secondary. Now for the perk tree, you really don't have a ton of choices on heavy, to be honest, and 99% of builds on this class look the same because Restoration is just the best perk in this row for armor regen. Then you can either pick up Fortitude or Strategic Stand. Both of these are pretty damn good. I think this one is quite a bit better than Strategic Stand, though, only because having 30% more HP and being super tanky in this game is just really nice to have, especially with the perk down here, Conviction, giving you a 25% health damage reduction on top of this HP increase. That's a pretty good combo for sure. Next perk here is Versatility. After switching weapons, your secondary weapon deals 20% more damage. The effect lasts until reloading or switching back to your primary weapon. Usually I take Overwhelming Power, but direct range damage for us, at least in like this run I was doing on a true solo, doesn't really matter at all, and especially on like a Pyrecannon, because Pyrecannon, this thing's direct damage is not super epic anyways. Most of the damage is burn damage, and I'm pretty sure this doesn't affect this. Now, in the stats screen in patch 11.0, the range damage of your burning effect will actually count in the scoreboard, which is nice to see, so like maybe this does affect it now, but for now I just took this one instead. Next perk here is Encompassing Aegis for 25% less damage from range attacks. Moving here into the perk Consecutive Execution for 90-second Melta Bombs, Frags, Crack Grenades, Shock Grenades. Really good perk here, and then everything is pretty much standard with things like Power Regulator, Brute Force for 15% more range damage while Iron Halo is in cooldown, and of course the perk Offensive Capability. When active, Iron Halo deals damage over time to all enemies within 5 meters. This will also wipe out things like Bramble, Cultists, and stuff like that, even Spore Mines. Really useful utility perk here, and also really good at just like picking up free Extremis and Majora's kills. Sometimes this one will put things in execute, so really nice for that. And for the perk tree here, I did take Exponential Force for a melee damage increase of 100%. You could skip this and take like Duelist or Reverberating Impact. All of these are about like the same value to me, in my opinion, and As far as like the options you want, it's really up to you. Now, the other perks I would pretty much always pick up are auxiliary reload for your ammo economy, conviction for health damage reduction, and indomitable spirit for no knockback on gun strikes, because there are a lot of points in Space Marine 2 where you will simply have to gun strike an enemy, and without this perk, you will just get cooked, especially on heavy, because heavy has like basically no knockback outside of a perk like this or strategic stand. So I would definitely grab this one. These three perks are by far the most important in this whole perk tree, and conviction is also really good for that 25% health damage reduction. That's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. The Pyrecannon is a pretty simple weapon. You just point it and hold down the trigger and light an enemy on fire. The biggest problem with this thing is that you don't get CHP back. In the public test server, the burning effects were giving you contested health back while the enemies were on fire. That is no longer the case in patch 11.0 on the live game. It is kind of like a huge nerf, but to be honest, it was super OP if they had that in the PTS whatsoever, so I'm not surprised it didn't make it to the live game. But either way, this weapon is still pretty damn strong. Great for burning bosses, great for horde control, and hopefully this build guide helped you. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about a Multi-Melta heavy build for patch 11.2 Space Marine 2. Now, the Multi-Melta has been a top-tier gun in this game since it came out, and even though they nerfed the double shot mechanic in patch 11.0, this weapon still slaps. This is a top-tier gun still. It is an amazing weapon for pretty much all content in the game for like 99% of players, and it's also one of the easiest builds in the entire game to use. Now, the variant I've chosen today is the magazine capacity version, because without the magazine capacity version, you will occasionally run into ammo issues, and I just don't like dealing with that, so I just picked up this one today. Now, for the perk tree, I do take increased capacity first, and I move here into the perk Elite Restoration. Killing a Majora's level or higher enemy restores 10% of your maximum ammo reserve. Cannot exceed maximum ammo capacity. The cooldown is 30 seconds. Now, having an increased capacity is nice because our auxiliary reload perk down here is triggering based on a percentage restore on our ammunition, so having a higher base capacity will give you more ammo off this perk, so pretty good synergy there. Now, Elite Restoration is also pretty nice, though be aware you have to actually blow apart Majoras with your actual Melta-Gun here. You can't just execute them, so keep that in mind. Next perk here is Heavy Fire. While in heavy stance, fire rate increases by 15%. You will pretty much only be firing this gun in heavy stance, which just says like increase your fire rate by 15% basically, because these days hip firing is completely pointless after the nerf. I move down here to the perk Perpetual Range because more range is nice to have. Next perk here is Heavy Immunity. While in heavy stance, you do not lose control from heavy hits. This perk is incredible. It will save your life. Basically, the way that no knockback works in Space Marine 2 is that any attack that would knock you over will only stagger you, and any attack that would stagger you does nothing after you have this perk, or, you know, any perk effect like this, I should say. So, for example, if a Sword Warrior would normally slap you, you would get knocked around. With this perk active, it will do nothing to you. So, really good to have, top tier option. Pretty much always pick this up on any heavy stance weapon in the entire game. Next perk here is Executioner's Fire. After a finisher, fire rate increases by 25% for 5 seconds. This perk is super damn good. This is like a really noticeable effect, especially for the magazine capacity version. It's not like super fast firing in the first place. Really a good option, and honestly, you'll trigger this all the time. Next perk here is Heavy Might. Moving down here into the perk Trick Shot. Killing 5 enemies with 1 shot restore 1 armor segment. The cooldown is 30 seconds. So having an armor restore and a 30-second cooldown in this game on killing 5 or more enemies with 1 shot on this weapon is really nice to have. This will trigger occasionally and save you a lot of damage, or just save you some HP at times. Really, really nice to have, so definitely pick this one up as well. Same thing for like the normal Melta Rifle. Like, it's good on both, but it's even better here because this one has higher base damage, so you'll be triggering this more often. Next perk here is Heavy Might once again for a total of a 30% damage increase in heavy stance. Moving here to the perk Death Strike, which is after killing Majora's level or higher enemy in melee combat, you will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. This will trigger off a finisher, so it'll trigger both of this and the perk Executioner's Fire simultaneously, so great synergy there as well. And the final perk is increased capacity once again for the same reasons I mentioned before. And that's pretty much all there is for the Melta Rifle portion of this. Now, for the secondary here, I did once again take what's that? The Retribution's Bequest Heroic Heavy Bolt Pistol. This weapon simply has the highest gunstrike damage in the entire game. The heroic perk effect is called No Help Is Coming. Shooting an enemy with the Elite Scream status effect stops her from calling for reinforcements, and headshots will kill in 1 shot. Even though this perk is currently bugged that body shots don't do anything to stop reinforcement calls, being able to kill an enemy in 1 shot, it's like trying to call for reinforcements, is super useful regardless, versus both Chaos and Tyranids, so a really great option here. I honestly love this perk effect, and they buffed this up in the official patch 11. It's been pretty top tier ever since. Now, for the actual perk tree here, I take Divine Might, moving here into the perk Perpetual Penetration. Then I pick up Increased Capacity, the perk Extend Magazine, Death Strike once again. And I move here into Great Might, the perk Strong Start, and of course, Able Damage. After you use a class ability, your damage increases by 20% for 10 seconds. Now, on the heavy class, you use Iron Halo all the damn times. This will trigger pretty much non-stop. Really, really good perk synergy there, which is why I pick it up on the heavy especially. And the final perks I grab are Home Precision, the perk Gun Strike Reload, and then finally Tactical Precision. Headshots will deal 20% more damage, non-headshot damage decreases by 10%. Headshot damage is pretty much all that matters in Space Marine 2 for bolt weaponry. This is no different for your secondary option. Pretty much always grab this because losing 10% headshot damage, or excuse me, 10% non-headshot damage just does not matter compared to getting a headshot damage bonus, so pick this up. That's pretty much all there is for the secondary. Now, for the perk tree, you may be wondering why we don't take multi-kill here. Well, getting ammunition back on killing 5 or more enemies with one shot is just not as good or even like as viable as restoration is. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores one armor segment. The cooldown is 15 seconds. Getting armor restored drip fed to you in this game is incredible, and restoration is a top tier perk in Space Marine 2 for that reason, and it's no different on the heavy class. Pretty much always grab this for like any heavy build. Next perk here is Fortitude. Health increases by 30%. This perk, on top of the perk down here, Conviction, your prestige perk tree, will make you as tanky as a bulwark basically with Conviction. It's kind of nuts how much damage decrease, or excuse me, how much damage reduction you get off of this perk combo. HP increases in Space Marine 2 are already very valuable in this game because the lower your HP gets, the higher base damage resist you get in Space Marine 2, so a base HP increase means your lower HP is going to be worth more than a class like a lower base HP. Hopefully that makes sense, but the point is, HP increases in this game, really damn good, pretty much pick them up all the time, and Fortitude is by far the best perk in this column. Next perk here is Overwhelming Power. When Iron Halo is active, all team members within 10 meters deal 10% more range damage. This is just a nice range damage buff for you and your teammates, but this will also trigger simultaneously with the perk over here, Brute Force. When Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increases by 15%. Iron Halo will count as being in cooldown while you have Iron Halo active, so a really funny interaction there. You actually get like a 25% range damage bonus here. Next perk here is Encompassing Aegis. All team members take 25% less damage from range attacks. This perk is incredible. A 25% flat range damage reduction in Space Marine 2 will make you substantially more tanky, and this also makes it so your armor gets a damage reduction, not just your HP, so definitely the best option here. Bonds of Brotherhood is not a very good perk at all, and Additional Supplies is not terrible, it's just kind of redundant with our build currently. Next perk here is Consecutive Execution. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores equipment charged by 1. The cooldown is 90 seconds. 90-second Melta Bombs, Crack Grenades, Frag Grenades, Shock Grenades. These are all incredible effects. Equipment in Space Marine 2 simply saves games in siege mode, operations, and hard strats, and Consecutive Execution gives you more of that, which makes it a top tier pick pretty much always. The next perk here is Power Regulator. Iron Halo will lose energy 20% more slowly, moving here into the perk Brute Force. When your Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increases by 15%. This perk is just a free range damage buff, and the perk up here, Saving Grace, is kind of trash, and the perk down here, Wrath of the Imperium, is pretty niche. Next perk here is Offensive Capability. When active, your Iron Halo will deal damage over time to all enemies within 5 meters. This perk overperforms all the time. It's just a free range damage buff, or not even a range damage buff, just a free damage buff while you are using your Iron Halo, which you'll be doing all the time. And occasionally it'll give you a life-saving execute, so really good option here. But I also want to mention Conversion Field, because Conversion Field, the ability to recharge here is also pretty nice to have, especially for long cooldowns like the Bulwark Banner. Now, for the prestige perks here, I do take Reverberating Impact or Duelist first. These are both pretty good options, but the one I'll definitely pick all the time is Auxiliary Reload for our ammunition, because this one gives you ammo back on every Extremis finisher, which is super good to have. And the next perk is also top tier with Conviction. It gives you a 25% health damage reduction for 10 seconds on Armor Break, which makes you very tanky. And the final two perks, or the final perk I should say, is Indomitable Spirit. While performing a gun strike, you won't lose control from heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back. This perk is incredible. No knockback on gun strikes will save your life, and this one is pretty much a must-have in my opinion. So if there's any three you should always take, it is these, and then the last one could be up to you with like Reverberating Impact, Exponential Force, or List. And that's pretty much all there is to say about this one. The Multi-Melta is still a pretty damn good gun. I mean, it did lose the double shot mechanic, but to be honest, that really doesn't matter too much because this weapon was top tier way back when. It's no different now because this one didn't even have that mechanic at launch anyways. It like came in for like 2 patches and now it's gone. But you know, this gun really is just that gun. And hopefully this build guide helped you. If you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thank you for watching. Take it easy Bye. Hey guys, FTG here, and so I'll be talking about a Heroic Heavy Plasma build for the Heavy class in patch 11.1 of Space Marine 2. Now, the Heroic Heavy Plasma Incinerator has a pretty tremendous damage output. This thing has the Heroic perk effect here, Plasma Hail, and Heavy Stance to get an increased rate of fire instead of charge shots. Now, because of this, your weapon becomes fully automatic in Heavy Stance, but you cannot do charge shots at all on this weapon. It does not matter if you're in Heavy Stance or not, you simply cannot do charge shots on the Heroic Heavy Plasma. But that being said, the damage output of those rapid shots is still very powerful, so still definitely worth tanking. But the unfortunate part of this weapon on top of that is that the ammo economy is god-awful. The Heroic Heavy Plasma has the worst ammo economy in the entire game for a plasma gun, in my opinion. I think the only thing that's competing with this is the secondary rate of fire plasma, though I will say, if you are careful with your shots and you do build it properly, you can still fire for quite a while. Now, the first perk I take here is Fast Venting. Weapons cool 15% faster. This perk is kind of useless on this gun, but to be honest, most cooling and overheating perks are kind of useless on this because, if you're unaware, the Heroic Heavy Plasma has the ability to instantaneously cool itself if you hit your reload button every single time you fire it in Heavy Stance. So you will literally never overheat this gun if you do that properly, so just keep that in mind. So all of these perks, like Common Cooling, Rapid Cooling, they're just not super useful on this gun, but, you know, they're just kind of there to take the other perks we're going for anyway. Next perk here is Contingency Plan. When your ammo reserve is less than 25% of your maximum ammo capacity, melee damage increases by 20%. This perk is a dog shit. We have to pick this one up to go in here into Plasma Collection. Let me pick up the perk Efficient Charge. This perk unfortunately does nothing because on this weapon, all the charge shot perks, they don't do anything for your damage, they don't do anything for your ammo economy. It's one of the reasons this weapon is so ammo inefficient, because Efficient Charge is pretty good at giving you way better ammo efficiency on charge shots, but since you don't have those on this gun, you're just stuck with like the baseline ammo economy, which kind of blows. Next perk here is Adamant Restoration. When your health drops below 30%, your ammo reserves restore by 25% of the maximum capacity. You cannot exceed maximum ammo capacity. The cooldown is 30 seconds. Now, this perk is good for ammo economy. Now, unfortunately, again, on this build, I did take a Strategic Stand here, which is good for giving us no knockback in our Heavy Stance, because we're not taking the perk over here, Heavy Immunity, on this one, so we don't actually have no knockback in our Heavy Stance. And having no knockback in Heavy Stance is pretty damn useful, because without this, you will be knocked around all the time in some certain areas, things like Sword Warriors, stuff like that, which does blow, but hopefully, you know, you'll be able to make up for that by taking Strategic Stand. And if you do want to take Fortitude here, for a health increase of 30%, you can do that. You can skip over Strategic Stand and skip over the Heavy Immunity perk, just go full ammo economy. But the bigger issue there is that you will not be able to survive certain Sword Warrior combos at times, which does suck, but you will be able to trigger your Adamant Restoration perk more often because you'll have access to things like Fortitude and Conviction, and Fortitude and Conviction make you so damn tanky that being below 30% HP or being around a 30% HP level is not too bad for you. You can trigger this off cooldown very easily. That does help your ammo economy a ton. So if you want to skip over these perks here and not take things like Plasma Collection to up your ammo economy at a baseline, you could take Fortitude and skip over Stand and just have this perk trigger over and over. In some cases that can be better, in some cases that can be worse. Hopefully that makes sense. The point is, this gun's ammo economy kind of sucks. Next weapon here, or next weapon perk here, is Heavy Fire. Moving here into the perk Weapon Strike for a melee damage increase of 50%. Then I pick up the perk Brutal Rampage. After killing 3 enemies or more with one shot, you deal 25% more damage for 5 seconds. This is a pretty damn powerful perk on this weapon, and one of the reasons I like to go down the bottom row, because 25% more damage for 5 seconds with how fast it fires is actually pretty substantial, so pretty nice to have. And the final perks I grab are Fast Venting and Plasma Collection for even more ammo reserves in our energy weapon. Now up here, Charge Cooling, I just took this for the lulz because this thing does literally nothing for you on your build. But, you know, we have an extra perk point, and all these perks are for heavy for charge shots, which is kind of funny. You know, they didn't really think about that. They kind of reworked this perk tree, but what you gonna do? Now, for the secondary here, I once again take the Rate of Fire Plasma Pistol because we're going for a full plasma build. This weapon has amazing CHP recovery, amazing stagger, amazing damage, and the ammo economy on this also kind of sucks, which is why we take all of our ammo perks and pick up Divine Might for a 10% damage increase, because generally flat damage increases in the game are quite powerful. Now, for the perk tree here, I do take Restoration first. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores an armor segment. The cooldown is 15 seconds. This perk is really good. The fact you get an armor restore on a 15-second cooldown does save your life, and multi-kill does genuinely nothing for this build, and auxiliary ammunition is a garbage perk. You know, in theory, a perk that gives you back ammo could be really nice. Unfortunately, this one sucks. Next perk here I take is Strategic Stand, though you could take Fortitude for the reasons I mentioned before. It really is up to you. And the perk after this is Overwhelming Power. When the Iron Halo is active, all of your squad members within 10 meters deal 10% more range damage. This perk is very nice to have, and also if you combine this perk with the perk over here, Brute Force, when Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increases by 15%, you can actually get both of these perks off simultaneously. They will trigger when you have your Iron Halo active, because your Iron Halo will go active, and it'll instantaneously go in cooldown, or it will count as on cooldown, so you get the 15% buff from this, and the 10% buff from this for like a 25% range damage buff, which is pretty nice to have. Next perk here is additional supplies. Ammo capacity for all of your squad members' primary weapons increases by 25%. I just take this because more ammo is pretty nice on this gun. If you want to take Encompassing Aegis, it is definitely better. Now, the perk over here, Power Regulator. This one is kind of a controversial pick. I've had somebody tell me once that Field Adjustment and Power Regulator, they do come out to like the same energy saved as each other, except this one just gives you no loss in your durability, because this one reads, Iron Halo will recharge 20% faster, but its durability is reduced by 25%. It does feel like that statement is true. I have not personally tested whether or not Power Regulator saves you as much as Field Adjustment does, but I think it does feel overall better anyway, so I do pick this one up. Now, Consecutive Execution is the other perk I take here, because a 90-second Melt-A-Bomb, Crack Grenade, Shock Grenade, and Frag, that's just a really useful thing to have in this game. Melt-A-Bomb save your runs all the time, so Consecutive Execution is a great perk. And the final perk here is Brute Force for the reasons I mentioned before, and the final perk is our good old offensive capability. When active, Iron Halo will deal damage over time to all enemies within 5 meters. This one overperforms all the time. It will pick you up free executes on Majoris, Extremis, and even bosses at times. Free damage is free damage. This one is very nice. I am playing like with a team, but still, even in teams, this one's pretty good. Though I will say, if you want to take Conversion Field instead for an ability charge of 50% faster for all of your teammates, this one's also very good. So definitely pick this one up if you want, but I do like offensive capability a little bit more. Now, for the Prestige perk tree, I do take Auxiliary Reload first, because this one just gives you more ammo for every Extremis kill, and like I said before, and will say many times again, this weapon's ammo economy sucks, so definitely pick this one up, and to be honest, pick this one up for like basically any heavy stance gun in the entire game. Now, next weapon perk here, or Prestige perk, is Reverberating Impact, and then I pick up our good old Indomitable Spirit, and I pick up Duelist, not Duel. I pick up Conviction, because I think that these four are overall the best. But if you want to pick up Duelist instead of Reverberating Impact, you definitely could. That is up to you, but these are the ones I chose today, because damage reduction is godly, ammo economy is godly, no knockback on gun strikes will save your life, and we don't really have a lot of no knockback on this build anyways, unless we take Strategic Stand. So if you are taking Fortitude, definitely take Indomitable Spirit every time, and to be honest, take it every time anyways, because this perk is just that good. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this build, guys. The heavy class is pretty damn powerful, as always. It did nerf the Multi-Melta double shot in patch 11.0, but to be honest, it was a little bit broken anyway, so I'm not surprised they did that. But the Heavy Plasma Incinerator, pretty damn fun. I don't think the heroic version is the best version in the entire game, but it is pretty good for some stuff. The rate of fire, I think, is still a bit stronger, or the ammo economy version, just because getting those charge shots off and stagger versus chaos can save your life way more, but having this insane DPS output is pretty funny, and hopefully this build guide helped. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more, and as always, thank you for watching, take it easy, bye.
Engagement of the force. Predatory class turret eliminated. Iron Halo ready.
This is why I hate lunging my doors, because it interrupts your whole gameplay. They interrupt the whole gameplay loop of the game. Super fun.
Iron Halo online.
There we go. think Lorgar had the shiniest head of all bald heretic Primarchs?
Intercepting projectiles.
Oh, you're right. Oh. Whoops.
Elite level Xenos. Passive up. Fragmentation grenade down. Complete attack turret down. Iron Hero online. Calibrate your aim, brother. Execute Iron Halo tactics. Sins administered.
Oh no, my teammate got. Why did it come down to me? Why would you do that? Why would you all clump up? That's okay. We were fine. I wasted my sim there. What an unfortunate event that was.
Eliminated Neurotroop. Preparing disciplinary report. Advanced tactic ready. The lift will take us to the cannons.
Send me up. Send me up. That's okay. We're at like 5% HP. That's fine. This is fine. I'll probably take a Sims out there. I can't wait for that one. It ate my Sim.
At the fortress.
Ate the whole ass thing.
My blade will be soaked in Tyranid blood. Smells like fresh munitions. Resupply.
I think I'm gonna hit something here, yeah. Hard to tell.
Iron Halo online. Xenos countermeasures successful.
He is proper artillery. And that's gaming. Hellblaster style? Yeah, Hellblaster volley gun. That's a good reference. The heavy sniper.
You are near the last cannons. You will need to find the manual controls to operate them.
I'm gonna take this.
Control console is within sight.
Defensive cannons active. Targeting system non-functional. Initializing secondary system. Time shift complex connected. Targeting system. As you aim, the service card will relay your target to the system. Until all desired state.
Solid hit. The Hierophant aims its weapons at us. That hurt it.
cash. We're probably gonna get one horde here, and that'll be it. Not too bad.
Beneath our boots, iron hail protocol and protocols. Friendly fire warning issued. Subterranean tyranny denied. Finish here. Cannons ready. To the Imperium.
Prevent system no longer detected. Engage console to reestablish communication.
I will engage the console. Oh, you got it. Okay.
System link has been
They,
established.
they want that. They sure can take it.
Iron hail ready.
The Titan launches its missiles. Avoid the tyrannous explosion. Witness the might of the Imperium. The tyranny dares to attack us. Ha! It does me. Don't let the tyranny's weapon take you.
Oh shit.
Keep away from the Xenos burst.
Searching for target. Minister, fire with your sidearm to commence target lock.
High priority.
Tyranny dares to attack us. Let the tyranny's weapon.
I'm returning after like a 6-month hiatus. I'm about to buy my first heroic. Should I get the heavy bolter or plasma for the heavy first? I'm gonna get the heavy bolter. I think the heavy bolter's like a straight upgrade to all the other heavy bolters. Heavy plasma for like a side grade. Which is what they're supposed to be fair, but
Ammunition restocked.
at long last. What would you say is the percent of stratagems you do with people who didn't read modifiers at all? That's a good question. I'm not sure, because usually I read the math of my chat.
Cannons ready.
That's what I play with. But, with random pubs, I got no clue. Kind of impossible to know, right? How would I know?
Iron hail online.
Gotcha, thanks. I mean, I think the best heroic to buy overall is like the heroic heavy bolt pistol or like Xenophase or Power Gladius. But those weapons are just all very good.
Nears death. It expels its pollution. Steer clear of its foul projectiles.
Hey, it's over. That's really not too bad. The buff range damage event's pretty nice.
Take the shot on those damn towers and unleash divine retribution.
You guys, when you bring 91 shots in, you're fine. They put the Price is Right wheel in the game. Pretty funny thing. We'll see how much damage that was, though, in this 15-minute loading screen. A lot of damage.